Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome back to another edition of the EKN Debrief, episode number 170. It's Tuesday, August the 4th, 2026, and we get set to cap off the EKN trackside coverage from this year's Rotax RMC Trophy Final, the event happening down at Newcastle Motorsports Park on July 31st to August 2nd. David Cole was trackside. He'll do the heavy lifting, of course, all part of this Debrief podcast. Today's show brought to you by OTK USA. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the United States, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, and EOS chassis, and now the new Gallard, Lando Norris, and Carlos Sainz brands, OTK quality is second to none. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, visit otkusa.com. All right, David Cole, let's get into this. You were trackside, second of three races, a trifecta for you. You'll be on the road more than you're at home over this 3-week run. Thankfully, you get a bit of a break after that until we, head back to USPKS and their finale. But let's dive into it. This past weekend, July 31st to August 2nd, you were back-to-back weekends at Newcastle Motorsports Park, 5th edition of the RMC Trophy Final, and all told, some interesting weather for you for sure.
Yeah, Newcastle was over the last 2 weekends. It was quite unusual. Again, last weekend was no humidity, no high temperatures, a comfortable weekend, and then the rains came for this coming weekend. It was dry on Friday, so that was a positive. No weather issues there on Friday. However, rain early Saturday kept the kart track wet. Up until basically about into the second or third heat race, once we got racing. And then after we got done, we were ready racing because there was another storm that came through. It was actually a tornado warning downtown area.
You told me that.
They actually had to cancel. They had a Formula Drift event at IRP that had to cancel it because it flooded the inside the speedway. So much rain came down.
Wow.
So yeah, quite an unusual. Luckily, there were some strong winds. A few easy ups got beaten up at the racetrack, but other than that, no other problems. Once we got to the track on Sunday, and then it's Sunday, it was overcast but dry all day up until we started packing up. That's when the sun came out. So it was a little once the rain and the heat came back in, it was a little humid that way. But just a strange couple of weeks for weather there.
Yeah, no doubt. Like the SCUSA weekend, as we said, uncharacteristically cooler, very, very comfortable mid-70s when it's normally high 80s and humid. And then you guys up and down on the weekend, obviously every morning when you kicked off with the 1 minute flat, I was kind of figuring out, hey, what are we going to see? And then Saturday morning, of course, you were in our garage, rain outside. And it was obviously up and down for you for sure. One of the key things on the weekend, David, was kind of some growth in terms of the event. Kind of grew a little bit. 31 drivers in the FC shifter category added to the drivers in the paddock. 105 overall in Rotax and those classes. But big junior max and senior max fields. Watching your start videos that you posted on EKN and all the our social media channels. 34 karts in both of those categories. That's again, we talk about this. That's what you can base a program off. When you get 34 there, ideally you'll get more minis and micros, drawn back some more masters guys. But man, 34 full fields in junior and senior, that is great stuff for Rotax here in the US.
Yeah, that's where it's kind of been for the last couple of years there for number wise. We've been in the 30s in junior and senior last year. We actually had 23 mini max last year, so we actually dropped there this year, but the micro numbers rose. So we had 14 and 15 for micro and mini. So that was a positive there. That's where kind of the growth came. But yeah, we had 109 last year in Rotax numbers, 105 this year. So a little bit down, only 4 numbers overall. But again, baby steps. That's kind of what I would kind of generalize the weekend for the Rotax brand here in the US. It's a little bit of baby steps. Because this year is actually a step back, with the Rotax Grand Finals falling on the same week as the Supernats. That's all we've heard since that was announced. And that's been the kind of the black eye for Rotax racing this year.
It took some wind out of the sails, right?
Black eye, wind, however you want to phrase it. It's a step back, which is not exactly what they were looking forward to, with coming in with a new distribution situation, taking over the Winter Trophy, bringing in the America's Trophy, and then hosting the 5th edition of the Trophy Final. So they were looking for momentum. They didn't quite get what they wanted, but I think the positive when you look at this is now it's August. And so now you have 4 months before the end of the year, and then the 2027 season begins. So they have a lot of time to kind of cross the T's, dot the I's, make sure everything is ready for what should be a year of growth in 2027.
Yeah, I really think, I know you use the term black eye. For me, it's almost like I like the wind out of their sails because they're all set up. They're doing their program. They're getting set to go. People want to go to the grand finals. You put the poll up on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Hey, where would you like to go? A majority of the people said, hey, I'd like to get to the grand finals. I just think when the grand finals lands on top of the super nationals and there are guys that are like, hey, you know what? Haven't done a lot of Rotax racing. I'm not going to change my plans to go to the super nats. I think had it not been, that on the same weekend, I think you would have seen a lot more drivers potentially jump into the Rotax program. That's why I'm saying 34 and 34 is still strong. Had that conflict not been there, guaranteed 10, maybe 20, maybe even more entries, I think, for the weekend.
And you're right. Black eye is not the word I should use. It'll wind out of the sail because, again, this had nothing to do with Rotax, had nothing to do with SCUSA, had nothing to do with karting in general or motorsports in general. It had to do with politics. And we'll leave that aside and leave it as is. But that was the reason of dates moving around because of locations for other events that were in the Middle East, moving away from that region of the globe. So that's you're right. With the wind out of the sails is a better term for that. All told, 29 drivers in cadet, 14 and 15 micro and mini, respectively. The 34 in both the junior and senior. 8 drivers in Masters Max. That's not a surprise to us. We had, there's not a lot of momentum. We're not seeing a lot of 20, 30 kart grids in Masters competition. Really, Stars has got the biggest group now. Thankfully for a couple of the guys they have pushing that big time. But then the FZ category, the shifter program growing as well. 12 drivers in the FC 125 category, 7 in the FC 85. And the Arrive and Drive program for 12 drivers in FC 65. I guarantee you those kids had an absolute blast banging gears around all weekend. Yeah, it's the debut of those 3 categories at this event. They were part of the America's Trophy program as well with the 125 and the 80. So the FC 65 getting their chance to be on the big stage. And yeah, it was a very kind of, again, Rotax Grand Finals scene with them all under the same canopy. Yep. The structure there at Newcastle Motorsports Park. So they're all kind of pitted among one another. The kids obviously getting to be new best friends, having, playing basketball, doing all the things they do off the racetrack, and then going and having a blast on the track as well too. So, and again, a lot of learning over the weekend because for a lot of them, it was their first time in a shifter. A couple of them had some experience in the FC 65s, but again, it was really fun to kind of watch that all weekend long.
Yeah, 5 categories for Max, Rotax Max, 105. So put it at 21 average entries, couple high water marks, 34, as we said, in both junior and senior. All right, off to our first break in this edition of the EKN Debrief, capping off our coverage of this year's RMC Trophy Final. When we get back, David was there, of course, all day on Friday, knocking out bits and pieces for the Paddock Insider. We'll dive into that after this break. Made in the USA. That's exactly what you get from Precision Karting Technologies. Based in Detroit, Michigan, PKT brings over 35 years of manufacturing experience to the sport of karting. Their passion for the sport began focusing around the Kid Kart platform and has expanded every year with hundreds of products designed to put you on the podium. Precision Karting Technologies is known around North America for their successful line of axles, available in all age groups. PKT manufactures a number of engine products for Comer, IAME, Rock, Rotax, and the popular Briggs & Stratton 206. A wide variety of chassis components for the many brands in the sport are available through PKT, including hubs, pedal risers, skid plates, and other hardware for your kart. Axle straightening, chassis adjustments, engine service, and specific CNC machining projects are available through their Motor City headquarters. To learn more about the many products and services available from Precision Karting Technologies, head to pktaxles.com. History, success, family. Those are the three words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Welcome back to episode 170 of the EKN Debrief. David Cole, myself, Rob Howden. David will provide us with all the race report information from this past weekend's RMC Trophy Final at Newcastle Motorsports Park. A number of drivers getting a chance to now go represent their country at the RMC Grand Finals in November in Portugal. We'll dive now into the Paddock Insider segment where David Cole was going through the paddock, getting a lot of news, digging up some info, and finding some cool stories. So we'll dive into that momentarily. Today's Paddock Insider brought to you by AIM Sports. From its early days, AIM Sports has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and they are excited to celebrate over 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features including 25 Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and many more features. It's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron. All right, David, let's kick us off. You got a bunch of notes here from the Paddock Insider. You were busy throughout Friday. I was looking forward to seeing them all came out, reading them myself as you were posting to social. Let's dive into what was going on in the paddock this weekend.
Yeah, again, starting off the weekend, it was the fifth year of the RMC Trophy Final. It's had different names, and it kind of dates back to what was the Road Tax Grand Nationals, where everybody gets together for one big show, one big event on the year. So I kind of just highlighted some of the past information about this event and when it's happened. And now going into next year, we know this event's going to be around the same weekend. That's always been something that's kind of moved around. It's been at Newcastle all 5 years, but it moved from October, September, August, July. So it's been all over the place. So now it's kind of got that home now, especially with my next story and the relationship with the TPK Promotions, with Karting Solutions Group. That's kind of worked itself out now.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously get the chance to kind of move it. You know, I've talked about date equity over the last little while here, and they didn't have that. They were kind of going back and forth. The name equity's there. Yeah, they've got the branding as the Trophy Final. Now lock that down. But the connection now with Karting Solutions Group, TPK Promotions, we're going to see this race, essentially, David, locked and loaded probably after the Summer Nationals for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, because this new relationship was cemented. The first time we've had an official weekend with that together. It's been kind of happening over the course of the season. We saw a number of the same faces that you would see at the Superkarts USA events, at the Road Tax races throughout the season. And now this was the first official event of this new relationship working together. So a lot of it was the same people you saw on track last week at the Summer Nats were on track at the Road Tax event, and then behind the scenes as well too. You have the tech program kind of evolving. Lynn Haddock and Mike Geeson were there with Supercars USA, but they brought on Rick Jump to be essentially what he could be the lead road tax scrutineering person.
Yeah.
So that's something to kind of keep an eye on and look at. But he was there all weekend.
One of the best.
I'm sorry?
One of the best.
Yeah. So, and again, it's going to be an evolving thing. Speaking with Neil Strickland from SCUSA Promotions, it's something that they obviously now have time to kind of review and look at. They have their schedule set up. A lot of their workers don't just work SCUSA, but do other motorsports events and different sanctioning bodies. So again, it's just working that schedule, getting people involved. He said a lot of his staff are looking to do all the events. So, that's 5 back-to-back weekends. So 10 weekends just working with the SCUSA Promotions crew. So a lot of excitement in there and different possibilities that could come about through that.
Yeah, I think a lot of synchronicities of the things working together, economies of scale. So good stuff for those organizations working together. Let's now focus maybe a little more on the competition side. David, when you and I did the Outlap preview podcast, one of the big stories was, can anybody beat Oliver Hodgson? Right? He won 5 trophy finals in a row in the senior max category, coming in to try to go 5 straight. We know how it ends now. But on Friday, that was definitely one of the Paddock Insider pieces you were leaning into.
Yeah, just kind of reviewing that. Again, we hit it in our outlap, but wanted to go a little bit in depth with it during our Paddock Insider, and the fact that he was racing with a teammate this time, and first time under the factory kart tent. Last year was the unofficial move over to the brand, a different painted color factory kart that was in comp kart colors last year. But this year, full year under the factory kart tent, and had Blake Nash under his tent, along with a couple other drivers in the senior max division. So, so that was kind of the look at it in depth on that. And the funny part too, and Rob, one of the things I brought up that poll that we did on social media was before, on Friday, I asked him, hey, if you do win, what are you picking? Are you picking the Supernats, or are you picking the Rotax Grand Finals? And he said, business wise, I have to go with the Super Nationals. That's where factory kart's going to be. So I will not be going back to the Rotax Grand Finals. And so, that's what kind of triggered my idea of doing that poll, because I even asked Blake Nash on Friday, if you win, are you taking the ticket? He's like, no, Super Nats is the race I've always wanted to win since I was a kid. So, that kind of triggered that poll question that we did bring up on the weekend, because that was kind of the talk on Friday with especially the senior max categories. They didn't really talk to any of the mini max drivers or their parents regarding that. So, again, a four-time winner, and Hodgson nearly got a 5th straight, but we'll get into that later.
We mentioned it already in the By the Numbers, David, but one of the segments you talked about was the FC65 Mini and making its debut at the RMC Trophy Final. I know you've already kind of talked about it a little bit, but for me, it harkens back to the days when Supercars USA first got started. Kind of shifter kart racing was kind of really coming out of that kind of outlaw kind of deal where guys were banging around on Yamaha, Hondas, Suzuki's, whatever it was, in the Midwest, Florida, around the country, Pacific Northwest. Go back to the 60cc novice days, right, at the Super Nationals. The FC65, to allow some of these cadet kids to get a chance to bang gears. It's cool to see it, because for me, it goes back thinking about those young guys and how many great drivers came up through the 60cc, the 80cc categories.
Yeah, it's something unique and different from karting around the globe. Shifter kart racing for cadets has been something that really has only been done in the U.S. You might see a few people here and there putting some shifter kart engines on cadet chassis, but more than likely, racing wise, the U.S. is pretty much stands alone in that. And it was just, again, we talked about it already. It was a unique situation. It was fun to kind of watch that Rotax Grand Finals vibe of them all under the same tent. Competing on track, but then working together under the tent. FZ crew, working diligently with all the drivers. Billy Musgrave going over data with every single driver, showing them, hey, the fast guy is doing this, the fast guy is doing that.
Yep.
And so again, it was really a weekend of teaching. Again, Thursday and Friday were the first time any of them actually had tried a shifter start before. So that was one of their focuses, after each practice was, let's do a practice start. Let's do a practice start. Even the warm up on Saturday before racing started, let's do a practice start. And so, again, it was a weekend about learning for a lot of the drivers and the parents and all those involved.
I love it. That's good stuff. One of the segments you jumped in as well. Let's talk about the Siraki family being trackside as well. I'll cut you a lean into it. Obviously, we've known Jamie for many, many years, but this is kind of a cool story about the Siraki family getting back to Rotax.
Yeah, I just did a couple quick notes there on Saturday morning. Ran out of time on Friday. Siraki's story was one of them. He was at the 2006 Rotax Grand Finals working with a Jamaican driver, and they started the Junior Max from the pole position after going dry tires in the pre-final when the track was originally wet. A great story that we got to follow in our first Rotax Grand Finals we ever went to. Super fun. So yeah, just kind of hitting on that because it was his first ever weekend with his son Brandon in the Rotax platform. So it was fun to kind of see them going at it and see Jamie back at a Rotax weekend.
Yeah, is there more is there more of a focus for next year that maybe that's something that they're going to look at doing more of?
I didn't even really get deep into that. I was just thought it was a cool story to kind of, again, 20 years ago, Jamie was sitting there on the grid at the grand finals with his driver on the pole position.
Timothy Stewart.
Timothy Stewart. Exactly. Yeah.
So I can visualize sitting where we were watching that too.
And Brandon he's doing some Legends cars, some Bandoleros, some other stuff. So I'm not exactly sure what they were doing, but it was funny. I saw them leaving the scales. Brandon was a little upset with his performance, but Jamie, it was the first time I saw him smile all weekend. He's like, dude, it's your first Rotax weekend in the senior max category against world champions. Come on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Chill out, buddy. You did great.
I love it. Another driver was there that kind of surprised you when you brought it up, David. Rory Vanderster, a driver that we've known for many years, coming, did a lot of racing, but also see him doing a lot of IMSA racing nowadays and sports car racing. Talk about Rory coming back.
Yeah, the family team was sold, so no more kart racing through the family team right now for Rory Vanderster. Okay. I'm not sure exactly on his future yet, but got the call to come race, get back to karting this weekend. Was not on the entry list, so he was a at track arrival for the FC Shifter 125 category. And it's been 6 years. So it was the summer festival at Newcastle was the last time he was actually in a kart. So it had been some time.
That's 6 years ago.
Yeah. But believe me, he was a kid then. He's not a kid anymore.
I know.
He's a young adult. So
No doubt about that. Hey, listen, one of the cool things, again, let's wrap up this edition of the Paddock Insider brought to you by AIM Sports. We actually learned about this at the end of, I think it was Saturday. Was it Saturday night or Sunday night? When we were, I think it was Saturday night. Saturday night. As we were leaving the track, we ran into John Crow and the family in the truck. They were kind of at the track getting, I think, some things dialed in for this weekend you were down for. But the Crow Show, it was a father-son Crow Show on the weekend. Not just John, but his son Ryan racing this past weekend as well.
Yeah. So again, father-son, that's what karting is all about. Father-daughter, family. That's what karting is. And yeah, it was just great to see the father-son duo both racing in the FZ categories. Obviously, John Crow, a Super Nationals winner, former Team USA Rotax Grand Finals member as well too, racing in the FZ 125 category, while his son Ryan got to compete in the FZ 65 division. And actually they lent out the FZ 85 kart and chassis that they had in the garage to Christopher Yahtzee, or Yahtzee. Get this right.
I think it's Yahtzee.
Yahtzee. So it's like
That's what they say. They say
yes.
Yahtzee.
I asked him Sunday night.
Good for you.
Yahtzee. So it's like your southern drawl of you out
Yeah,
see. You out see.
You out see. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
That's a tough one. I'll have to work on that.
It is you out see because it's not Yahtzee, it's not Ute. You out see.
You out see.
You out see.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Well, yeah, good to see them there again. Obviously John Crow, they're kind of an Indianapolis, base. They've got the garage out at the track at Newcastle. They run KRA. John's a karting lifer. We know that, and great to see his son get out there and race as well on the weekend. That's good stuff. I think to have the whole, as you said, David, karting is a family sport. Nice to see those guys out there.
It was super cool.
All right, let's go to another break, folks. When we get back, time to dive into the race report. Our first group will be Senior Max, Junior Max, and Masters Max. Our EKN debrief, capping off our RMC Trophy final coverage, will continue after this break. Check out any major national karting event, and what's the common thread? Speed Concepts Racing. Up front, in every class, every weekend. The Speed family has been at the forefront of American karting for over 25 years, and Speed Concepts Racing is the sole dedication of Father Mike Speed and his multi-time championship-winning son Alex Speed. This program is all about passion for the sport and a dedication to winning. They know how to get it done. If you're a senior driver ready to put yourself amongst the best in the country, Speed Concepts Racing is the program for you. We can win the big races. You just need to be in the seat. The Speeds program has delivered time over time in the junior classes as well, helping to elevate a long list of young drivers from mid-pack to potential race winners. Speed Concepts Racing has the perfect equation of coaching, driver development, and technical knowledge to elevate your program. Arrive and drive opportunities are available for the remainder of the 2023 season, and we're locking in seats for 2024 as well. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, contact Speed Concepts Racing through email at speedconceptsracing@gmail.com.
The karting championship that's taken Europe by storm and helped launch today's top open-wheel stars is now in the United States. Introducing Champions of the Future America. Champions of the Future America is a 9-round series that welcomes drivers across multiple classes, including Mini, KA100, and X30. Champions of the Future America tours 2 of the Southwest's premier karting facilities, K1 Circuit in Southern California and Spring Mountain Karting Complex in Nevada. Drivers will compete across 8 unique track layouts in pursuit of a prize pool valued at over $130,000. The ultimate reward? Our X30 Pro champion will win an all-expenses-paid trip to France for a 3-day Formula 4 training camp at the legendary Winfield Racing School at Circuit Paul Ricard. Learn more about Champions of the Future America. Register now at championskartingamerica.com. That's championskartingamerica.com.
Welcome back to EKN Debrief number 170. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole as he continues his review coverage here on the podcast of the RMC Trophy Final. Let's go into the race report presented by Rawlson Performance Group, who is, again, presenting our segment here. At the Rawlson Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins on the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game. We'll take you to the next level. If that's your goal, RPG needs to be your next move. Experience the Rawlson difference. All right, David, into the race report. We'll start with Senior Max. I'll throw out the headline. You can still fill things in. Here's the headline for Senior Max. Malkit declared winner after penalties.
Yeah, Malkit was among the top contenders all weekend long, along with America's Trophy champion, the Canadian Aiden Ingrata, who started off with the fast time in qualifying in wet qualifying conditions, a 128.506. Malkit did come away with the heat win in the opening round of heats, which was in dry conditions, but Ingrata came back to win the second heat to close out the action on Saturday. In the super heat, however, Malkit got shuffled back a little bit as Ingrata went on to grab the win and secure the pole position, but Malkit still started on the outside of the front row. We thought it was going to be those two drivers, but it was a group essentially of 5 that were in the mix there early on. A lot of shuffling. You saw Ryan Rafa come through with a strong performance in the superheat, finishing 3rd. He was into the lead at one time. Antoine Lemieux, the Canadian, finished 2nd in the superheat. He was in the mix. Ingrata, Malkit, and of course, Oliver Hodgson, who actually finished 2nd in the superheat, but due to a chassis change that morning, was classified. He got the possession or the penalty assessed after the race. So he actually ended up finishing 15th. So he started a little bit further back there in the main event, but was able to work his way up into the top 5 and was in the mix. And eventually it became 6 as Blake Nash, who started back in the 18th position after the fuel line on the fuel pump in the superheat came off at the start. Oh. And they pretty much, and then he had nowhere to go, got tangled up. Collected a couple carts after he was starting towards the front of that race. So they had to really completely rebuild the front end of that cart to get it ready for the main event. And it was on rails. It was super fast. He was able to work his way up with the top 5 there as they continued to kind of essentially fight throughout the early portion of the race. But yeah, Nash was one of the quickest carts on the track, earning fast lap of the race as well. So he got into the mix. It was just great racing. A lot of good racing. Unfortunately, lap 8 was kind of the turning point of the race. That was when Nash had reached the group and Ingrata started falling back. He fell back to 5th. And as they made their way through the shark fin, that is when Nash made an attempt to pass Ingrata. The two made contact not only on the entry, but on the exit as well. Ingrata went off the racetrack, lost a bit of real estate to the lead group, and had to kind of regroup himself in the race as Blake Nash continued on. So as the race continued on up front, a lot of jostling for position. Nash continued moving forward. At one point, he made an outside move and turn number 4 right there at the scale building on Oliver Hodgson. You got to think, Rob, being 2 teammates, I think Ollie gave him a little bit of room there to kind of let him go.
Yeah, pretty
because after that,
yep.
After that, Hodgson essentially was playing roadblocker for Blake Nash unofficially, at least watching it from that point as
wingman.
As Blake went after the attack on Malkit. They exchanged the lead multiple times. At one point, it was a 3 wide action going into turn 1 with a couple laps remaining. Eventually, however, it was Nash getting a great move coming out of the scoreboard as Malkit went defensive, got the over-under run, took the lead going into the shark fin, and essentially held it on as Malkit got challenged by Hodgson there in the final corner. So Nash went on to take the checkered flag as the provisional winner. Unfortunately, yes, the contact with Ingrata was deemed a penalty, and he was placed back from 1st to the 8th position, awarding Isaac Malkit with the victory.
Yeah, Hodgson moves up into the 2nd spot, Lemieux 3rd, Rafa 4th, and Finnegan Bailiff up into the 5th position. But for Malkit, David, it seemed to be just overall right there all weekend long. Super quick. Listen to and watch the interview you did with him afterwards on social media. It's a fantastic weekend overall for Isaac to be able to come away with a big win and head into Portugal, which I think is cool.
Yeah, a little redemption. Then was the Junior Max winner last year, but because of his age, was not able to compete. He was over the age limit, and the licensing FIA licensing program would not allow him to move down essentially because of his age. So thus he was not allowed to take that ticket and go to Bahrain last year. So this year going to Portugal to be part of Team USA.
Yeah, I love it. Great for him and an excellent run for Isaac Malkit, winning the Senior Max category, the RMC Trophy Final. Let's go to Junior Max right now. Here's the headline. Orbezo celebrates trip to Portugal with victory. Kid joins Team USA.
Yeah, Orbezo was nearly pulled off the weekend sweeps at fast time in qualifying in the wet, a 128.735. Went on to win both heat races. The first one ahead of teammate Alex Chandler and Darren Kidd. The second one ahead of Kidd, with Chandler falling back into the third spot. But Kidd found a little bit of speed overnight. They actually went over the cart trying to remove weight. They realized they were a little bit overweight. Changing the bodywork, taking the new stuff off and putting old stuff on, battery stuff, etc. So
Wow.
Kid's a little bit taller for being 13 years old. So that might be where the weight's coming in to affect, but they definitely found that little bit to get him out of the corner a little bit better as he went on to win the superheat, as Orbezo actually fell back to P12 in the superheat after getting shuffled out of the lead. And then the train just kept going as he fell all the way back to 12th. That, however, did not disrupt his performance in the final when he started up at the front. He and Kidd were able to essentially break away from the field. It looked like Kidd was going to be able to make a move and put on an aggressive attack for the victory. However, he came up just short, and Orbezo held off to score the victory to celebrate his RMC America's Trophy Championship, where he didn't win a race, but got to win the trophy final.
Yeah, 0.124, the margin of victory at the line. Kidd coming in second, Diesel Blazonski on the factory cart in third, William Vitor and Brandon Ing rounding out the top five. How did things shake down with Kidd getting into Team USA and the whole deal that way?
So again, Orbezo has a ticket with the RMC America's Trophy Championship. Thus, the ticket went down to the next driver, which second place was Darren Kidd. Okay. So Darren Kidd gets the ticket to race in Portugal.
So you said trophy found. Orbezo won the winter trophy, right?
No, America's Trophy.
The America's Trophy. Yes. Okay. Yes. Copy that. All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff for Darren Kidd. That's awesome. The team lining up nicely now.
Technically, there are no Americans from the Winter Trophy that are going. I think Musgrave was the only American champion, and he's obviously not going to Portugal. So,
all right. Yeah. So let's go to Masters Max to cap off this segment of the race report. And Masters Max, another name we've been talking about for so many years, coming up front. Here's the headline. Cleveland takes RMC Grand Finals ticket after penalties.
Yeah, one of the smaller categories on the weekend was one of the more competitive ones that we saw. Again, it's just something about Masters drivers that does that. So yes, Christopher Mann, was the driver to kind of navigate the wet weather in qualifying, a 130.475. Unfortunately for Mann, in the opening heat race, he did not have his engine tightened, and it did not. He was unable to make the start. This allowed last year's winner John Bonanno to go on to grab the win, who held off Scott Roberts there. It was still a wet racetrack, so they were on wet tires. Scott Roberts nearly pulled off the victory, but as his mechanic said, ran out of talent in a corner. So I can say that because it's Masters guys. So
that's good. 100% Masters guys.
Yeah. So Bonanno went on to score the win there, and then also winning in the second heat. So he was good both in the wet and the dry. This time with Mundy Lawyer in second, and then Billy Cleveland once again in third, as Mann kind of got shuffled back there in the dry session. Fast forward to Sunday morning, it was Mundy Lawyer that was found some speed overnight and was quickest in the superheat, went on to score the win ahead of Billy Cleveland and John Bonanno. And then we get to the main event where it was anybody's race. Monday led early until Scott Roberts got by him, who found a little bit of speed overnight. And then the following lap, after getting around him, Mundy went into turn one, got sideways and spun around.
Oh, no.
Ending his race, nearly collecting Christopher Mann and Cleveland in the process. But they continued on. This allowed Roberts to kind of get away to a little bit of a lead. Both Mann and Cleveland kind of cut into that a little bit towards the end. Unfortunately for Mann, he made a couple mistakes. This allowed Cleveland to get by, and that was enough for Scott Roberts to go on to cross the line as the provisional winner.
But
there it is. Yes. So Roberts was unable to get out of the technical inspection. A situation with the carburetor. Now, I talked to Rotax official, everybody that was there, race Rotax, everybody. The understanding is a couple of years ago, there were carburetor parts that were manufactured and they appear to be polished. So a couple of years ago, the rule book has stated that those parts that appear to be polished are not allowed or permitted for competition. Unfortunately for them, they had those carburetor parts installed, thus were removed from the results. So it wasn't a go, no go gauge situation.
Wow.
It was, and Rob, that's the thing I was just thinking about it today. I'm kind of comparing it to, like, say somebody went with Briggs and Stratton 206 with one of the old sealed engines. Well, that is no longer allowed. So it's
that's tough.
We'll dive into that idea a little bit later, but wrong part did not go Robert's way. This promoted Cleveland to the top of the podium.
Yeah, you have here that he took the P2 late in the run. Tough one for Scotty Roberts for sure. Cleveland coming away though with the victory. In the end, it was 1.141 seconds over Chris Mann, John Bonanno, Yasumasa Ono. Are they saying that sounds good?
Nope. Yep.
Rob Meyer rounding out the top 5 in that one. Cleveland though, again, Dave, I love the interview when you came straight at him. We're saying that you're retired. You say you're retired. And I love the interview, right? I'm not really retired. This is like me hitting a bucket of balls. And, I'm not a golfer. I'm a racer. I just decided to come out and play. And he ends up going to the grand finals again. I love it. He's a ambassador for our sport, one of the true legends in karting. I love seeing Billy get a chance to put the red, white, and blue on one more time.
Yeah, 4th time for him.
Just
an amazing story. And yes, everybody will be cheering on Billy for sure.
100%. All right, folks, off to another break. When we come back, we will go dive into the FZ categories, go senior, junior, and mini. Of course, still to come, micro and mini as well, those max categories. So when we get back, we'll talk FC. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. Trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. In 2025, Trinity Karting Group established TKG Viral Art USA in cooperation with North American distributor PSL Karting. The Trinity Karting Group carries the colors of the Viral Art brand, as TKG Viral Art USA helps to bridge the connection between current and future dealers here in the USA. TKG has in stock Miami, Briggs & Stratton, MG, Evinco tires, and more products for those in the Ohio and Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport with a winning pedigree, and we are dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the season include the Ignite Majors that begin with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week running in both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, featuring 5 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in states all across the country, Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite karting program. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to episode number 170 of the EKN Debrief. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole as he provides his podcast report of this past weekend's RMC Trophy Final at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Tickets handed out for this year's RMC Grand Final in Portugal. Today's race report brought to you by Rollison Performance Group. We're going to dive into the FC categories here, though. There was 3 of the shifter kart categories, the spec program on the docket. FC 125 Senior, we'll start off with them. Here's the headline. Korn completes near sweep for inaugural victory.
Yeah, 128.389 was quickest in the wet qualifying session for Gage Korn. The only driver, one of 2 drivers not on factory karts in this category. Unfortunately for him, he got caught sleeping at the start as the flagman went really quick. He still had the kart neutral when the green flag waved, so he got shuffled back there at the start. That allowed Theo Kadi to go on to take the win in the opening heat race ahead of Owen Gassion, I believe is how I said it. They said his name. Gassione, yes. Okay. So yeah, Korn went P1 the rest of the day and rest of the weekend, winning the second heat, the super heat as well, and then going on to go wire to wire for the main event victory, winning by 8 seconds. With his fast lap quicker by half a second in the main event. So quite a performance by Korn.
Theo Kakati finishing in second spot. Xander Malatesta on a comp kart in third. Mason Mitchell and Larry Hernandez Jr., both factory kart drivers, finishing fourth and fifth. Dave, a note here on cracked exhaust pipes?
Yeah, unfortunate situation. 3 drivers in the main event suffered a cracked exhaust pipe. Those that were kind of in contention for the podium there. Including Gassion, Dylan North, and I believe John Crow was the other as well. Okay. Early on. So just something that FZ shifter is going to have to look at, try and remedy. Obviously, the more racing and the more laps they get going on these FZ platforms, they kind of find the weak link in certain situations. Sure. And again, exhaust pipes always one of them. It's funny talking with Tom Kutcher after the weekend. He goes, there was at one point with the stock motos that the pipes kept cracking in the same spot over and over and over again. That. So I do too. Say that again.
No, I said Scusa did a lot of work on that, to get that spec pipe dialed in.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that obviously FZ and Billy Musgrave and everybody there are going to have to look at.
Yeah, no doubt. They work with Pro Circuit, I think. So
correct.
So that's a high level company. I'm sure they'll get that figured out.
Well, Rob, where it is where the cone comes together to the really small point at the end of the exhaust where it will connect towards the silencer. Yeah. And using a very large silencer that is very locked down. So there's not a lot of rigidity, a lot of room for bouncing around.
Okay.
With the pipe locked in, the silencer locked in. That's kind of the point where there almost needs to be like a third brace. Understood. Somewhere like connected, maybe exhaust to engine kind of situation. Yep. So it's just something to kind of look at with either, hopefully not changing the design. And obviously they put a lot of work into that, but changing the way it's mounted.
Indeed. Yeah, they'll get hooked up on that. No doubt about it. Let's go to FC 85 Junior, the junior category for the FC 85. Here's the headline. RMC America's Trophy champion Ing holds on for victory.
Yeah, 2-driver fight all weekend long. It was Brandon Ing and Christopher Yautzi going back and forth. It was Yautzi with a 133.020 in his first ever shifter kart start, going on to set fast time in qualifying. He won the opening heat race before Ing took over in the second heat and then won in the super heat. And then the two went back and forth in the main event. It was actually Yahtzee leading a majority of the race, but Ing was able to get by before the white flag, held on over the last 2 laps to score the victory, holding off at the line by just 71 thousandths of a second.
Nicely done. Wyatt Kroger coming home in third spot, Eli Furnish in fourth, and Liat Simonellik rounding out the top 5 in the FZ Junior category. FZ Mini, we've talked about them already on the weekend. The 12 drivers part of that Arrive and Drive program. Here's the headline. Harrell becomes inaugural class winner.
Yeah, Slate Harrell with the victory. It began, however, with Chase Thexton with the fast time in the wet qualifying conditions, a 131.565. So you have to hand it to the FZ65 drivers. They encountered pretty much everything all weekend long. Right. Dry weather, wet weather, learning how to start, learning how to compete in shifter racing. So it was a lot for these guys. But Harrell was essentially the driver to beat all weekend long. He won both heat races ahead of Thixton. However, got a bad start in the super heat, so fell back, but worked his way up to second behind Thixton at the line. But in the main event, it was all Slate Harrell going out to a wire victory, winning by 4.5 seconds for the inaugural victory.
Yeah, Chase Thixton finishing in second, Asher Bazonsky third, Cole Harris and Lincoln Wiley rounding out the top 5. All right, folks, to the break. We come back. We're going to jump into the race report for Mini and Micromax. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. New to the product lineup is the Stilo Carbon CMR karting helmet. Designed to revolutionize your karting experience, this carbon fiber crafted helmet is among the lightest on the market, without compromising on safety. The Stilo ST5 KRT karting helmet is manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material. The KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The Stilo ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision that is perfect for the youth helmet line. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva rib protector is unlike any other on the market, with a form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. The Carbon Curva 8870 version is FIA homologated and includes a chest protector. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these products and many more to keep you safe on the track. Stilo, any competition, one helmet. Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. The Parolin Le Mans full-size chassis for junior and senior classes and the Parolin Opportunity model for cadet divisions have earned success weekend after weekend at all the major championships and events in both the USA and throughout Europe. The Parolin chassis lineup also includes the Invader shifter, along with the Daytona 4-cycle chassis and the Delfino Kid Kart. Karters can head to the ParolinUSA.com website where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available all across North America. Parolin USA partners with several companies and race teams across the country to provide a strong dealer network to represent the brand locally and at the national level to support drivers throughout North America. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. Back at it here with the EKN Debrief, capping off our coverage of the RMC Trophy Final. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. David, let's wrap up the race report brought to you by Rawlson Performance Group with the Minimax and the Micromax categories. Here's the headline for Minimax. Addy runs away with victory. Harrell joins Team USA.
Good competition in the Minimax division as it was last year. This year was just as good. Charlie Page, the British driver, came over, and imagine that, a British driver fast in the wet.
Right.
131.812. However, this was the one class that we did have bad starts in. They came flying down the Long Pond straightaway. And it was, I want to say, let's see, Minimax was later in the day. So it was a drying racetrack on new Iveco tires. They all came down into turn one, and nearly half the field went off into the grass. This allowed another British driver, Teddy Murphy, running on the Nitro car, to get out to the lead and take the win in the opening heat ahead of Hudson Howard and Aiden Go. Page, however, kept things together in the second heat, going on to take the win ahead of Howard, with Slate Harrell in the third position. However, in the super heat, it was Yusuf Adi, the Canadian, who qualified 10th, finished 5th in the opening heat race, but had a DQ in the second heat. He actually came from 15th in the super heat grid to score the win in that race. It was 11 minutes plus one lap. Yeah. So essentially passing one driver per lap, if not more.
Wow.
But yeah, a great drive for Addy to get up to the front. That win in the superheat boosted him up to P4 for the grid for the final. And that's all it took for him. He and Hudson Howard broke away from the field early on. Unfortunately for Howard, he had a rear hub slide in all the way, hurting his pace. And eventually he pulled off the racetrack, ending his hope at a victory. This gave Addy a clear run to the checkered flag, as Slate Harold and Teddy Murphy were unable to work together and run down Addy, as the Canadian scored the victory by 2.4 seconds.
Charlie Page ended up in 4th in the final, Aiden Go in 5th. And how does that play out then, David? You talked about in the headline that Harold joins Team USA. Yusuf Addy, was he already qualified through Canadian races?
1 week ago at the RMC Ontario, picked up a championship there and earned a ticket to the Rotax Grand Final. So he'll be part of Team Canada. I believe they have roughly about 6 drivers locked in already for Team Canada. I'm sure there'll be many, many more after the next couple of weeks in the events that they do have going on up in Canada. But yeah, so Addy already with ticket in hand, that passed the ticket to Slate Harrell, as he will join Team USA for the Mini-Max category.
Very cool for Slate. He's really been coming on here throughout the season, running with our MPG Motorsports. Let's go to Micro Max to cap off this edition of the Race Report. Here's the headline. Did we figure out how to say his last name? Is it Tosti or Tosti?
You know what? I say it both ways. I was
Tosti.
not able.
I'm going to go with Tosti right now. Tosti named winner following checkered flag.
Yeah, again, a great Micro Max field, the bigger one that we have seen thus far, and a lot of heavy hitters, including Dusty Strayer, the Texan, picking up fast time in the wet session for qualifying, a 1:33.966. But it was Trey Sanders, winner at the RMC America's Trophy program, picking up the win in both heat races and the super heat going into the main event. However, the field got shuffled up early on, as Alessio Tosti was able to grab the lead. He was leading a majority of the race up until the final lap. Went defensive, but a charging Grant Heckman, who actually started 9th on the grid, worked his way up through the field and was able. The great thing, Robert, again, this was a timed race, so it was 18 minutes plus one lap.
Okay.
They came through at like 17:58, so they got another lap before the white flag came.
Okay.
So this gave Hackman another opportunity to close in even closer. It was a great performance, timed the last corner perfectly, drag race to the line, and Heckman got there first, so came across the line as a provisional winner. Great celebration. Everything was great until they got through the tech line. Unfortunately for him, an issue with the carburetor that resulted in a disqualification. So that promoted Alessio Tosti to the top spot of the podium.
So Tosti ends up getting the win. Trey Sanders in 2nd, Cohen Scott 3rd, Dusty Strayer 4th, and Chase Zolman rounding out the top 5. There you have it, folks. The race report for this edition of the debrief. One more break. When we come back, we'll go Constructors Championship. David will give us his wrap up. And last but not least, we'll finish things off with the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is SodiCart. And in the U.S., Velocity Racing is their distributor and official race team. The SodiCart brand is among the top chassis around the globe and here in North America. And the recent successes include the FIA Karting World Championships in KZ last year and in multiple championships and at different levels here in the USA. The French manufacturer is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers products in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Velocity Racing also works with its expanded dealer network, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. Visit velocityracing.com to learn more about the SodiCart chassis and the racing program, or call 407-270-3042 to become part of the Velocity Racing network today. Velocity Racing and SodiCart, leaders in the karting industry. CRG is one of the most iconic brands in the world of karting with a never-ending focus on winning. Kart CRG USA is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, Kart CRG USA supports CRG dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. The CRG KT5 has been designed specifically for the US market. The KT5 is the perfect fit for X30, KA100, and other tag platforms, featuring the new Aero package and VEN 11B braking system. For cadet drivers, the CRG Black Beer continues to log in victories and championships across the globe, and is utilized in both 2-cycle and 4-cycle competition here in North America. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know the CRG Road Rebel, the standard in quality and performance, continues its excellence for those in the shifter kart ranks. The CRG FS4 chassis is the ideal choice for racers in Briggs & Stratton competition, with numerous podium results across classes at the CKNA divisional and national events. From pure racing to karting entertainment, many tracks, both indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the CRG Centurion rental kart line. 5 different models for both gas-powered or electric engines can fit any track's needs for a new rental kart fleet. Kart CRG USA has a full inventory of rental karts available for new and existing facilities. For more information on the CRG product line, head to kartcrgusa.com, or to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email us at sales@kartcrg.com. Welcome back, folks. Time to wrap things up on this edition of the EKN Debrief, capping off our coverage of this year's RMC Trophy Final from Newcastle Motorsports Park this past weekend. David Cole here, who was trackside throughout the weekend, rolling us through all the race reports. We did the Paddock Insider. David, let's cap things off, and as we always do, have a look at the Constructors Championship. Which brands came out big with victories here? It looks to me pretty spread out in terms of all the categories.
Spread out in terms of brands, yes, we did have 6 brands of the 7. We can't count the FC65 as that was all factory carts. You can if you want, but spec program. So yep. Factory Kart did pick up 1 along with Maranello, Kart Republic, Red Speed, and Tony Kart, but it was LN Kart picking up 2 wins on the day to lead the way. But you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4 wins for the OTK brands.
And David, yes, on the day, how happy are you that it was just a one main event race?
I love the one day. We were done. That was a great thing. Saturday, we were done on track, I think, at 3:30.
Yeah, when you messaged me, you're like, this is perfect. I love it.
I was at the hotel at 5:30. I couldn't believe it. And writing the report. It was great.
Yeah, normally you and I get to the hotel around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock when we're grab some dinner and then get back. I get it. All right, let's give us the wrap up, David. I love what you're leading in here with. Always.
Yeah, people kept saying it all weekend. I'm like, don't jinx it. And luckily, both weekends, both the Summer Nationals and last weekend for the RMC Trophy Final, no red flags. So the ambulance didn't have to run. I think maybe last weekend we had maybe somebody checked out for some contact, but other than that, no red flags, no stoppage, no wrecks. And talking with Jonathan Miller, the race director for both weekends, starts was a really big part of it. We talked about it after the summer nationals or the winter nationals in Tucson. They really want to fix it. And, Newcastle is a great place to have the starts coming down the long straightaway. You keep everybody slow. You don't let them punch off early. It produces great starts. You get through five different 90s before you start getting into more technical stuff. So it allows the field to kind of find their space, get lined up and get going.
You've almost got to start them really, really early so that they're racing down in there, or start them super late. And I think
and they were doing the late. The late works. It keeps things slower. So the incidents aren't as severe. You do get, obviously we saw micro last week. You do get some drivers kind of going up and over on some other ones, but typically the slower starts are the better ones.
Let's talk about the drivers joining Team USA.
Yeah, so we got 5 drivers joining Team USA. We got Malkit for Senior Max. We had Darren Kidd joining in Junior Max, so he'll run alongside Nico or Bezo. Masters Max welcoming back Billy Cleveland as the driver for Team USA. Mini Max welcoming Slate Harrell to his first time as part of Team USA. And then Micro Max with Alessio Tosti joining Team USA. We're currently waiting to confirm who will get the DD2 ticket that was available in Senior Max. We've had a couple of drivers pass on the opportunity. So Race Rotax is going through the list, trying to get that locked up and loaded this week, hopefully. If not, I'll put some peer pressure in on some of the drivers that are on the list this weekend. So we're waiting to hear on that. We did, however, confirm that the RMC America's Trophy Minimax ticket that was won by Mason Brody will be up for grabs. That is right now in the provisional stage, so that could possibly go to Hudson Howard. Waiting for that confirmation to come through as Mason Brody confirmed that they will be going to Supernats and not Portugal.
All right, Dave, let's finish up our wrap-up. We'll wrap up the wrap-up. You have one more segment you want to bring out here.
Yeah, just stepping stone to building up both the Rotax and FZ shifter platforms. That's what this weekend was about. Again, we talked about the wind out of the sails for the Rotax program with the overlapping of the big ones at the end of the year. But, there's a lot of positive things to look at. And like I said, the now instead of playing from behind, Race Rotax will be playing ahead and looking ahead to 2027 with 4 months before the calendar year turns over and lots of opportunities ahead in 2027.
Yeah, and they've really set their stage, right, David, with the Winter Trophy, the America's Trophy, and the Trophy Final. Like everything's lined up. You build from there, regional programs, club programs, whatever it may be. But the structure there, the platform is there for Rotax moving into 2027.
And again, like we did on our poll, a majority of the people said they would go to the Rotax Grand Finals. Well, unlike any other event, you have to earn your way there. And one of the ways doing it is through the RMC programs, both either at the Winter Trophy, at the America's Trophy, or at the Trophy Final. Exactly
that. All right, let's wrap things up in this podcast with the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar today, presented by Odenthal Manufacturing. If you're gunning for the podium, your motor mount is critical in your goal to get 100% of your engine's power down to the racetrack. Odenthal Racing Products provides the best motor mounts in the karting market today. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience, providing products with unmatched quality and value for the karting market. Check out their Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines and their 4-cycle Easy Set for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Head to OdenthalRacing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, made in the USA. All right, David, at the very start of this, I talked about the fact you're on a 3-event run. You capped off the SCUSA Super Nationals at Newcastle, home for a couple of days, right back down to NCMP for the RMC Trophy Final. You're here home for a couple of days. You and I are banging out 2 more podcasts because we've got to hammer out the Outlap podcast for this coming weekend's USPKS Ohio Grand Prix at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati in Batavia, Ohio. You're going to have a nice 5 or 6 week break after this one, but you got to cap off this hardcore 3 weekend run.
Yeah, I have to get, as soon as we get done here, I got to start working on that script so we can get that recorded. I'm waiting for the entry list to come in. Weather not looking good. When I looked at it yesterday, I didn't really get a chance to look at it today, and I'm dreading the look right now as I pull up my phone.
I'm doing the same thing. I didn't have to look at it.
I do hope we do get good racing. It'll be the start of the second half of the season and the championship chase. As we see, MCC provides some great racing. So looking forward to that. Hot and wet. That's me in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, it's listen, it's going to be interesting. Let's put it that way.
I do like Sunday, only 35% chance of rain. So I guess that's better, right? That's better than the 56 and the 59 on Friday and Saturday.
You never know what's going to happen. But yeah, lots of racing going on here, folks, to cap off essentially the July and into the first bit of August. After that, as we all know, everybody kind of takes a breather, David, through the end of August. You know, you mentioned it. We talked about it in the preview for this weekend's event that a lot of Indiana are already back to school. Some of the kids are getting back to school in August, late August, early August as well. So yeah, you know, SCUSA's wrapped up. USPKS will have one more race still to go. That's your next race to go to after this particular one. So there's going to be a bit of a break there through August and into September before capping things off with the USPKS finale.
Yeah, it'll give us an opportunity to get some more other podcasts going, including CKN On Track with CKNA, the roundtable we keep bragging about.
The Masters one.
Yeah, the Masters one.
You're doing that for sure.
And other podcasts as well. We'll probably throw in some more hot seats and maybe once September, I think you're done. Well,
here's the thing. You finish this one here off this weekend. I'm going to Portland this weekend.
Right. You've got the busy schedule.
I got 3 and 4. That's right. I go to Markham, home for a weekend, Milwaukee. Yeah. But then I got 3 weekends off before our finale, USF Pro Championships finale at Road America at the end of September. So we're going to have time. We're going to bang out some podcasts. Looking forward to that. I really want to get the roundtable going and start coming up with kind of some momentum for that as well. But yeah, a lot of outlaps, a lot of previews, and a lot of race reports, the debriefs here over this 3-week run.
Yeah, and you count the week I was gone before this all began. So yeah, it's just been a chaotic one. Here in my homestead and abroad. So,
you're going to sleep, dude. You're going to sleep like 10 hours a night for like 5 weeks.
I hope so.
Tell your family to leave you. You need to catch up on some rest for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, the nice thing, I did get sleep this weekend because we were done on track early enough.
That's true. All right, folks, that wraps things up from our coverage of this year's RMC Trophy Final from Newcastle Motorsports Park. I know, David, you can, before I wrap up, obviously fantastic to work with the Rotax program. We're very lucky to work with organizations like SuperKarts USA, like the United States Pro Kart Series, CKNA, Rock Cup USA, but obviously great time working with the good folks at the RMC program. And I know being trackside, it's cool to be involved in this event. Ideally, maybe next year, if we don't have a conflict, you and I can potentially look at going back, or at least you by yourself or both of us, maybe get into a grand finals again. It's been a long time since you and I have been able to really enjoy that kind of an event.
Oh yeah, that was the talk with Rotax and Alex and the others there at Race Rotax. Yes, they do want us back, and I definitely want to go back because I keep talking about it. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like that event. We've got to experience it 3 times, twice in Portugal, once here in the U.S., and there's just nothing compares to it.
That's it, folks. Okay, we'll wrap things up. That is it for episode 170 of the Debrief, capping off our RMC Trophy Final coverage, as we said. More to come. USPKS up next. Look for an Outlap podcast right around the corner. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We do appreciate it. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.